On the subject, I'll tell you my story about when I was very small. I was probably 8. I was lying in bed. This was when we lived on Normandy. No, I was probably around 6 or maybe 5, and I was lying in bed, and it was the middle of the night. It was probably 2 a.m. I have no idea why I woke up, but I opened my eyes, and there was a little girl who was absolutely glowing. She was just about my age, standing in the doorway, looking at me. And I just couldn't handle making contact with her, so I closed my eyes and turned away. And years later, when I accessed my spirit guide, I found out that that was her.
Wow. Hello.
And my spirit guide, you know, at that point had hi Ross, there you are. My spirit guide at that point had grown to be my, you know, spirit guides will appear the way you want them to look, you know, like they'll look like they're about your age and so on. So, because they don't really.
Well, mine didn't.
You know, what'd yours look like?
Mine, I was 22, and mine looked like a little girl, and she was glowing also. And I didn't know what to make of it. And I remember the whole room, it was dark, but the whole room was lit up by her. And I sat up, and it was completely dark in the room, and I was trying to find the light. And I slept with the light on for 2 nights after that because I didn't know what the hell it was. It wasn't like really late at night. It was like just as I was going to sleep. And she was standing at the foot of my bed. Ooh.
Wow. Did you ever find out who it was?
No, but I was told I had a little girl and an old man, but I didn't see the old man.
I always see demons. What's the matter with me?
Uh-oh.
I like scary ones.
I just close my eyes. I see none of. Oh God.
Just looks the other way and puts the TV on. Yeah.
Right.
Now, Ross, you need to lower your camera a little bit. Ross, lower your camera a little bit.
You know, my daughter used to cover all the mirrors in the house and in her room. She'd cover them up, or take them off the wall and put them down.
Only one on camera.
What?
Ross, you look nice. Yeah, you look nice. I want everybody to go to the A list. Franny, go to the A list.
Take the A train. Do. Okay, you got it.
You know, Boots, I noticed something that, you know, when you tweet, like you, I guess, tweeted this morning or yesterday or whatever, and, you know, I came into the meeting with a whole different relationship with you because you tweeted.
Like 5 times today.
Yeah.
This yeah. Well, I skipped school, so I had time, you know, in the morning.
Yeah.
And I did lots of lessons on the hub.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just in the zone, you know.
Well, my relationship with you was different. Like I came in here like being, you know, like connected to you in a different way, and I didn't really notice it until, because it's easy to see the difference.
Right.
When you see the difference, you know, but it's not so easy when you don't have anything to compare it to. So this is new. Now, okay, we're on the A list, and you don't have to see, if you notice, like it doesn't Barb's retweets don't go on the A list, so you don't have to plow through Marianne Williamson and Rumi, and like if you go to Barb's, you know, if you go to Barb's tweets, then you see all these tweets, you know, from all these people, you know, but on here all you'll ever see is Barb, Rosella, just the people who are on the list. So it's really easy to stay in touch with us this way. Now if we go down a little bit, you'll notice Ron got a smartphone. By the way, Ron has a smartphone now and he's tweeting. My friend I had at the beginning of a cold and worked with him immunically and he felt better, which I am now retweeting. I'm retweeting his tweet. See, I'm on my iPod Touch doing this. Now, if you go down the A list, right under there, you'll see the first tweet from me. Got to go past Ross's tweets and Ron's tweets, and you'll see the first tweet from me. And I want somebody to read that out loud. So everybody read that out loud. Who wants to read it? Who'll read it?
I will.
Okay, go ahead.
Some of us are conversing, some of us are sending, some of us are silent, some of us are absent, some may be interlopers.
Okay. Nice. Now, if you look at Ross's tweets, and she has some above me, what would you say of those things that Ross is doing? Which one of those is Ross? Is she conversing? Is she sending it?
He was conversing with Bootsy, well done, girl. It's important to let people know, thanks, Jen. That's conversing.
And she's sending.
She be sending, too. I'm sorry, I'm in Chicago a lot.
No. Which of her tweets would you say is a sending tweet?
I feel I'm in love with the Munichs.
Excuse me, I keep losing some words when you talk.
Can you hear Greg okay?
Can you hear
Now
me?
yes. Yes, now yes.
Fire's on the speaker. It's further away. I have a headset on. That can make a difference.
But I was losing Jen before, and I was losing Bayer. It was coming and going.
Okay, so far we've got that Ross is sending and conversing. Right? Anything else? She's not silent.
Mm-mm.
No, she's not interloping.
She's not absent.
Now see, what's the difference between somebody who's silent and somebody who's absent?
Someone who's silent might be listening and, you know, getting something out of it. So they're somewhat involved.
Yeah.
Absent is like,
Nell is silent,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. But she's not absent, she's actually... You sort of always know that Nell is playing in her own way. She's doing something out there.
And it's a degree, like Victor is somewhat absent and somewhat silent, playing.
Victor may be an interloper.
Yeah, he may be, right?
Yeah.
Now, what is
I
an
agree.
No.
I agree.
what's an interloper?
Someone interfered.
Like they're just trying to check out what it is and put it in a box.
Often they actually will interfere, and it's really kind of for their own reason.
Losing you again.
right, do you want the definition?
What, Jen?
Have the definition.
Hey, Jen, you know, if you talk too loud, it seems like you have some function in your microphone that makes it go quiet. Like if you hit it or if you talk too loud, it just drops.
Is it better?
It'll come back in a minute. I saw that on, Piers Morgan was interviewing this other guy, Newt Gingrich was on, and Newt Gingrich accidentally hit his microphone, and his microphone did the same thing yours does. on television. All of a sudden, he got really quiet.
Yeah.
One thing we have in common.
Yeah, right.
One, no.
It's actually one thing Pierce Morgan's microphone has in common.
Now, yes.
With you.
Okay, I have the definition of an interloper if you're interested.
Go ahead.
I am.
A person who becomes involved in a place or situation where they are not wanted or are considered not to belong.
I lost the first word.
A person who becomes involved in a place or situation where they are not wanted or are considered not to belong. Also could be known as an intruder.
Okay, thank you.
Here's
Is that a
another
little harsh?
here's one that interferes with the affairs of others, often for selfish reasons. A meddler. One
Okay.
that intrudes in a place, situation, or activity.
Now listen, I don't want you to get the wrong idea because I like Victor and he's a very good person to me. I see a lot of good in him. And I think he's basically just an innocent, which is why when he wants to be in the Cure Team meeting, I've allowed him to listen and so on. The thing is that I think there's something like really like there that he doesn't understand. He hasn't understood something that's, and I mean, really, he's just a degree of the rest of us. You know, we're, you know, if we compare ourselves to, you know, like that guy who went in and shot all those kids.
Yeah.
You know the guy I'm talking about?
Sure.
Well, if we actually look at ourselves on if we get way back and look at ourselves on this continuum of humanity, how much better are we than he is? I mean, think about it, you know, like we really can't like stand around lording it over anybody, you know. We've got to really understand that, like, we've just been fortunate and blessed that God has given us this ability to interact and cure things and interact with God and, you know, develop our ability to, you know, reach out to each other in the, like, through a higher medium than the physical and so on, and we're all like kind of connected to each other that way. But we're not, and the guy who shot all those people was this person who was isolated and alone and very disconnected and so on, and he didn't have what we had. But the funny thing is, had we met him 10 years ago and had he started getting signals, in a minute, so much of that could have cleared up. And he never would have shot anybody. You know? And also, we're damn lucky that we found this when we did, because 10 years or 20 years from now, we could be shooting somebody.
Yeah.
You know, with a whole different kind of rationalization probably than he used, but still, you know, not so much better. So we ought to really, like, you know, just keep a perspective on all this stuff. But anyway, as far as evaluating each other and ourselves, when we look at this, okay, why don't we go down to Greg? Let's try him. He has some, let me see who the next person on here is. Oh, Boots is next. She's got some tweets up. Now what?
Thank God I'm not silent today.
Yeah, when you read Boots, like what would you say? You know, like what is she doing? By the way, one little postscript on Victor is if you look at Victor's Facebook wall, you can learn a lot about him, because he says absolutely nothing about himself ever. And the few times that he has tried to talk about himself, he seems very hesitant and clumsy. He simply has to develop the skill, but has probably never committed to developing the skill of showing himself. And he's been buddies with Alejandra, and maybe that's good for him, because maybe he's learning to do that with her. But a lot of times people learn to do it with like a person who they sort of consider a significant other or with their spouse or whatever, but it never extends to the outside world. And maybe it's not even great with their spouse. So Victor just has a lot to learn, you know, he has to commit to learning it. And also he has all these, a lot of what he is a head trip. Like he builds these machines to cure things with. I don't know if you've noticed that. But
He's using radionics a lot.
yeah, I mean, what's the difference between that and somebody who does acupuncture? Ross, what do you say?
It's totally different because with the radionic machinery, you use, for example, the photo of a person, you put it in the machine, you find some frequencies to send, and I don't know much about it, but I know that the machinery are very expensive unless you can build them yourself. But
Yeah, he
it's
builds
totally
them.
different from acupuncture.
Yeah. He builds it. Now that you're talking about him, now I feel more compassion for him because I think he wants to learn, or if somebody spent some time with him, he could learn.
He needs an intensive.
Yeah, he needs a coach. He needs a coach,
Yeah.
like, or just even a friend that goes a little deeper than Alejandro does. Like he needs to just do it, learn how to do it himself, or be encouraged.
Yep.
I could do more with him. Yeah.
Well, see, you're all too willing to jump in and help somebody without being paid anything, Barb. And what you really need to do is you need to work with people who have who are able to do more for themselves. Like pay you, for example.
Yeah.
You understand? You understand if somebody is able to pay you or willing to pay you or whatever it is, because I mean obviously in some ultimate sense everyone is able to pay you, you know? And when somebody is able to, or willing to pay you, they're simply in a position to do more for themselves. I don't know, does that make any sense to you?
Yep.
Like that's a person to bet your money on. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
You have limited resources. You can't help everybody.
Yeah,
So
but
what you need to
times
do,
I have been with him, I could.
okay, what you need to do is
Times I've used.
just
I do
help
my
nobody.
resources.
Don't help anybody until you find somebody who is really a good selection.
Okay.
Like pass on people. Just say, oh, I could help Victor, but I'm not going to. Oh, I could really do something for Victor, but I'm not going to. Because I need to find somebody who's a better bet. Get it?
Yeah.
And then bet on somebody who says, sure, I'll pay you $10,000 to coach me, you know, and you can bet on that. That person is a good bet. People know more about themselves. Like, why don't you could try this, call Victor up and say, hey, listen, why don't you do this $900 immersion weekend? And Victor says, oh, gee, you know, Victor doesn't even have a password to the web college.
Yeah, I realized that yesterday.
And he says, oh gosh, you know, I'd really love to do that. You know, I want to do it so much. I just don't have any money. You know, it's so hard. You know, I don't know what to do. I can't pay for it. I can't afford it. I have nothing. I can't give you anything. And you go, oh, I see. Okay. And see, you find out that he knows more about himself than you know about him. If he's not betting, why should you bet? And look, he had a password and he didn't use it. Remember we were talking to him and he said he never went in the web college once?
Yep.
He had a password for a whole month, never went in the web college once. And you're like leaping to bet on this guy.
I'm not betting on him. I just.
Okay, because if you did, you
I
might.
saw him kind of like as a potential, I didn't use the word interloper, but I was kind of observing him because, like I said, Like it's like what's the word? Like he's usurping sometimes. I think I don't know. He uses the testing in a funny way. So he uses it. He doesn't do it himself. He asks other people to test, like Alejandro, for example, on his stuff. It's okay. I'm understanding now. I had a feeling about that yesterday.
Why do people do that?
Yeah, well, I think he's talented. I also think he's a guy. He's very left-brained. I mean, he doesn't quite. I think he deep down would like to be able to test and be more intuitive, but I don't think he really is yet. So he's trying to do it in a mechanical way.
Oh, I see.
And people like me have just kind of like, I've just sort of like let him do it and watched and observed rather than stopped him in the moment.
What we all have to realize is that people can do it and they just don't. They can, but he can, but he doesn't. That's what we need to understand. He can do it,
Okay.
but doesn't do it. So you're not betting on the person's ability, you're betting on the person.
Uh-huh.
You're betting on the person's choices and just on the person, you know?
Right. Right. But I just feel like in a way it's like like I should be protecting Alejandro more because it's like I have
Barb,
taught her. She's my person, so I haven't trained her how to deal with
I don't know if
it.
she really is your person anymore.
Okay. All right, maybe not. But I mean, but she's just a person that's okay. That's true. She's more like Rosella's person.
But to get back to why don't we go back to Boots? See, we got really like off on this tangent, you know.
Okay.
Let's go back to Boots. What is Boots doing in these tweets? She's got right here. Look at Boots' tweets. Ross, can you see Boots' tweets on the A list?
Yes, absolutely. But let me tell you, I keep losing chunks of conversation.
I don't think there's anything we can do about that.
No, there's nothing we can do about it. I'm sorry. You just.
We could call you on your home phone. Would you like that?
Do you want us to call you on your home phone?
It would be very costly for you.
No, the home.
No,
phone.
it doesn't cost us anything to call you on your home phone. But then you won't be on camera. Maybe the connection will get better if you just stay on.
Okay, I don't know. Do what you think is better.
All right.
Maybe it's better without the video. Sometimes that messes up.
Okay. All right.
It might, Franny, are you on your iPad pod?
Yes.
Perhaps you could be on your phone or on something because it might affect it. You might get this message all the time. You need to be on a different Skype in order to really.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Not possible.
Who could answer this question about Boo? Like, Franny, what do you say?
Should I close the video?
I don't know. I sort of like the video. You can hear me right now, Ross. Can you hear me?
Now, yes.
All right. Why don't we just let it run for a while, okay?
Okay.
So what is Boots doing in these tweets? What is she doing of the things that I said? What do you think
Wait
she's?
a minute, because I went back to Skype and
one thing she's doing is reporting. So she's what is it? What
Sending.
was it? Giving.
Sending.
Sending, yeah.
Yes.
She's also conversing. She's not necessarily conversing to a single person, but she is conversing with all.
I think, yeah, see, when I was reading this, and also with Boots' other tweets too, I get that Boots is conversing. There's just something conversational about these tweets. You know, it's funny because I was listening to these speakers. One of them is Bob Proctor and another one was Stephen Covey. And Bob Proctor is very mental and he seems like he's sending, whereas Stephen Covey always sounds like he's conversing. And they're just saying things. Ross, can you sit back or can you make your screen bigger so that you don't have to stare like that?
Is it okay?
Good.
I think Jen is conversing, and that's why I reply to her. was quite natural for me to reply to her tweet.
Actually, now would be good. Take this away.
Thanks for replying to my tweet.
Okay, like in the story I've been telling you about Nate, what do you imagine when you think about Nate? What is Nate doing? Is he conversing, sending?
He's conversing, he's sending,
See,
he's very present.
I think in my tweets I'm a sender a lot. And the best thing is to be a converser. You know, when I read, what's her name, Kim Kardashian's tweets, Kim Kardashian, whatever else you say about her, she's superficial or whatever, she always seems to be conversing. Always, like every tweet seems that way to me.
Yep. That's what works. Because everyone feels that she's talking to them or wants them, could be the one. She actually, by the way, had one of her shows was on men who wanted to date her, her sister, or her sister, and I guess it was Chloe or whatever it was, who was not married at the time. And they had all these guys show up at her store, which of course sells clothing. I guess it was in Miami, clothing and her perfume and things like that. And then they picked, and they had one of her salespeople go out and pick the hottest guys. So like everybody wanted to be there, or at least, I mean, the really weird guys wanted to date her, and all the really hot guys wanted to date her. So that's what she does with her tweets and her whole attitude. Anyway.
Ross, can you understand Greg?
I keep losing something, but I heard him.
Yeah.
So you're not hearing the whole thing though, huh?
Yeah.
You know, it may be your headset. It could be anything.
I checked it.
Oh
I
yeah?
checked everything.
Okay. What
It's always plugged in.
you want
Maybe
to
it's a video.
okay, turn off your video and let's see what happens if it sounds better. Try that. Turn your video off. Okay. Now let's go to Ross's tweets. How does Ross seem? She says, I feel I'm in love with the Munichs. Or she says, it only takes a few minutes to connect and cure something and it's always worth the time. What's she doing? Boots, what do you think?
I thought we already went through Ross.
Really?
She does. She sends and converses.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yes, you're right.
Yeah. I would say that's right. And let's I think there's one of Greg's down here. Let's see Greg. He's below Ross. He's below Ron, in fact. What about Ron? Did some of Munich's curing this week with 2 friends, had a little success. This is down, we're below Boots now, okay? Below Boots
Hello, Ross.
and below Ross, and there's Ron is the next one. And what's he doing? Is he sending or conversing?
He's conversing. Because I replied to him and he replied to me. Thanks, Ross. That's so kind of you to say that.
Nice. Okay, so for sure, he's conversing. Okay, what about Greg is after Ron? He's got a couple. Doing my morning of Munichs really starts when I wake up, actually happens at night. Oh, awake during the day. What do you think about that?
Conversing.
What'd you say?
I think he's conversing.
Franny, what do you say?
Converse.
Okay, she says conversing. Okay, so now we've talked about everybody. Okay, good.
You didn't talking about me. But.
Barb.
Oh, Barb. Okay. Well, we didn't see any quotes, any tweets of Barb's.
Barb, a celestial body is a terrible thing to waste.
Okay.
She's sending.
I see things on Facebook from Barb, a lot of little things. I'm not sure if they were tweets or not. I don't remember now, but
So what is this one? A celestial body is a terrible thing to waste.
it's cute.
It's just sending.
Well, it means something about her. I think, you know, it's all connected.
And it's just that particular
Sheer,
one.
it's
Other
cute
ones-
and it's involving.
And this was sent on the 21st. So would you say that Barb is silent or absent because she didn't tweet for 3 days?
I'd say silent.
Yeah, silent. I mean, I'm silent. I don't think either one of us are absent.
Right.
Well, it depends. Like, I'd have to ask Barb. It's hard to know. Barb, were you reading all the tweets during all that time of everybody else's tweets?
Yes.
Yes.
So you were reading them.
I go on. I probably am on here more than anybody else. I just don't write it. When I write stuff, I delete it.
You delete it?
Yeah, I delete a lot of my stuff
Then don't
After you put it up or like,
after I put it up.
I see. So we never see it. Or you just get rid of it.
Like, and maybe you see. Well, you don't go on as often as I do. So maybe by the time you're on there, it's gone already.
Well, I want to
Yeah.
see the deleted one.
They're pretty good.
So that would absolutely make Barb silent.
Yeah.
Silent people are people who continuously censor themselves and are afraid to speak.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it feels like, yeah, we're supposed to only. I don't feel like I'm being honest sometimes because sometimes I feel like I'm, like only tweeting after some like good experience. And if I write about a bad experience, I feel like, oh, that's a bummer. I should delete that. I shouldn't, take anybody down or do anything too negative with it. That's what was going on the last couple of days, so. Yeah, but I read everybody else's all the time.
Well, what do you guys have to say to Barb about that?
I missed the last thing you said, Barb. It did kind of break up.
I don't know what it
That you.
No, I just.
That you.
I just said I didn't want to put too much negative stuff on there. I mean, I'm not sure how
Yeah.
to show myself on Facebook or Twitter. Like, I don't really,
Well, don't put negative
right
stuff.
now I've got,
Take
I don't want
that.
to talk about my same issues. Yeah.
It's to me, it's a good chance to actually do the opposite if I have a negative. Try to just.
Yeah, but I mean,
It's the
I'm
opposite.
different than Jen. Like, Jen's a new person, or even Ross that are getting tons of results. I'm not getting really, I don't want to sound like I'm a commercial, because some of my stuff sounds like marketing. I think that's the stuff I delete too. Even that one about the celestial body, that's borderline. I mean, it's like cute, sort of catchy, like first, it's like, oh gee, what's a celestial body? How do we find out? It's kind of like, it's like jargon.
Does anybody other than Barb think the
Some of the
celestial?
stuff I thought.
Does anybody other than Barb think the thing she wrote about the celestial body is borderline?
No.
No. No, I don't think
I could
so.
see that she was talking about something, but she did it in a positive way. I mean, she may have had some experience, but I think that was helping to turn it around by saying something. She could have gone further to make it really positive. She was still harboring some negativity.
Well, you really ought to listen to that Tony Robbins thing about breaking the patterns, that Byard was talking about. Because he has this woman who's like depressed, and he says, well, do what you do when you're depressed.
Yeah, I saw, that's the one I saw.
And then one of the things he says is you can't be depressed when you're laughing, but it's the way you talk about everything, or you.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just, well, like I said, I feel like I have a different situation, and I can just try to just stay cheerful and plug away, which is, I guess, what most people do, and just be grateful. But
Well, he says if you find yourself saying something negative, change your posture.
yeah, I saw that one too. And then it just seems like other people
Yeah.
say things in such a nice way. Why not just forward what other people say? They say it so brilliantly, so why do I have to reinvent the wheel? People don't need more like cute, inspirational shit. Like it's, it's, or like little repeated, I feel like I might as well just retweet other people's stuff because it's done better, or it's done, it's been said or something. Or else I can talk about my personal
Well,
struggles.
what
or
about
whatever.
talking about your wins? Like, sit there and think about it until you find a win to share, that you've cured something just like everybody else, and share that, and I bet you feel a lot better.
Okay, well, this hasn't been a few days of wins. All right. Thank you.
In acting class, or particularly in a workshop, if you're in your head or you got any sort of negative or self-doubt, as you're saying your lines, you do jumping jacks. Like you're doing a monologue, you start doing jumping jacks.
Yeah, that's cool.
Try to-
That is cool. Some sort of attachment to feeling bad. Yeah.
Smile when you say that.
I'm starting to think your acting class is good for you, Greg.
Starting to, huh? I had the greatest time last night with Tom Todoroff, who I'm developing, he doesn't know, but I'm developing, get us a cable TV show or something. He actually has produced movies, shows on television. He's always asked to write reality TV. He hates it. An actor, a coach. He's done 40 movies. He coaches Liam Neeson and Jeremy Irons and people like that. He's got like 10 studios. And he's the most loving, engaging person who really gets under your skin. And so we really have a connection. He's now my Facebook friend. So I'll suggest he's Facebook friends with you guys. Tom Todoroff.
One thing I want to say, you notice how much we're all learning from this conversation about tweets?
Yeah.
Like, Boots, do you think maybe, are you noticing that you're learning something as we're talking about these tweets?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, see, it's obvious to me that us tweeting is not going to tip cure, because, we'd have to be getting a lot of followers and stuff. And I also noticed I put my tweets through to Facebook, and my number of followers really didn't go up because I'm doing that. But as far as the way I'm interacting with you and what I'm learning about you, not only do I feel like I'm learning so much more about you and myself, but because we're talking all the time. See, like this morning, Boots, I woke up at, my usual time, with the chickens, and I'm standing on my head, hanging over the bed, and I turn my iPod Touch on, and I got the blood rushing to my head, which is what I want, and I open up the thing, and there's your tweets there that you've been tweeting since 5 o'clock this morning, which I suddenly connected with you, and it was like we were, together, and I was getting input from you, and I was seeing somebody out there in the real world beyond my bedroom who is actually benefiting from what I've done, while I was standing on my head with no possibility of calling anybody or connecting with anybody any other way. it kept me connected to do that. So that's why I started the Cure team. I wanted to have this group, this mastermind of people, this gigantic, huge brain made up of all these people, this huge consciousness that we all share, of people who are discovering and applying, just like me. And they do that every day. And so I can see what the world can be by being with you. And that was a year ago. And it was slow getting going, mostly because I was not...
Hey, Ross, put yourself on mute, please.
Yeah, okay.
Hi, Roberto!
He's talking on the phone to my boss.
Hi, Roberto!
I love Italian. It sounds so nice.
It is. It's great language.
Yeah.
I won't subject you to
Italian and
it.
Portuguese.
I mean, it was slow getting going, but I feel like I've got some of what I started this to have, you know? When I have a... I mean, for that matter, I saw Ron's tweet with yours, and it was the same thing, because, you know, Ron doesn't even come to these meetings, but you know what? Ron can be one of us, because he can tweet, and he's sharing this stuff, and it's pretty inspiring to hear how he helped his friend with the flu, right? Everybody who thinks that's good, say yeah.
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 It's breaking up a bit, but I did.
Ross, did you notice Ron's tweet?
She replied to it.
Okay. That I did not see, I don't think.
It's right, well, I don't know where it is on your page.
Hey, Ross? Are you there?
She's on mute.
Oh, Ross, are you on mute? That's right, Ross is on mute. Go off mute now, Ross. Hey, Barb,
Yes.
do you cure things throughout the day?
I don't know.
Just a simple yes or no would be.
I don't know what that means.
Okay, I'll tell you what. See, another reason why I started the Cure team
I do my best.
is so that I could end up in this dialogue with you, because see,
Now you need backup.
if I don't talk to you, I mean, you're out there and you're dying.
I know.
You're just like, you know,
I have a different kind of work. I mean, you wouldn't believe the people I talk to. It's just a different kind of person, or the kind of day I have. I don't have a job. I don't have a family. I don't have a husband, a kid, anything. And most of the people I
You have
work
a
with are on
dog.
the street. I have a dog, thank God. And I have a computer, thank God, and an internet connection there, and a couple friends. And I have a lot of dysfunction, obviously, and I've created a big mess the last few days. So, I mean, I've wanted stuff out of the Munich, so that's really been the theme lately. I wanted something out of this all.
see, when I
There's
look
another
at
little
your,
thing from an acting class. Let me just,
When I look
From the
at
very
you on
beginning,
Twitter-
from the beginning, what?
when I look at you on Twitter, if you don't tweet, I know that you're sick.
I know, so.
I know you're not curing anything.
There's like been like 100 people people we've worked with, and there's 5 of us here.
So the question
I
is,
know.
do you intend to tweet yourself, to cure
Yeah, but I
yourself?
don't feel like, but then
Do-
I get stuck. Like,
Do
am I
you
supposed
intend
tweet
to
about
cure
how-
yourself to the point where you have the things that you want in your life, money, a girlfriend, all of that? Do you intend to cure what you have to cure to
Yeah,
get
but
there?
every time I talk about it, it's almost like I jinx it, or then I wreck it. I get excited about a girlfriend or a job or some situation, and then I tweet about it, and then it collapses. So now I decide, I better not write about things until they're totally like happening, you know?
Boots, do you have an insight for her when you hear her say this?
You know, it reminds me I just saw this on the hub
And then,
today.
actually, one more thing. The last time I got derailed was when I had that really good night with my friend, and then basically you said, yeah, but you didn't go all the way. You didn't go all the way. And I was like, oh, fuck this. And I just deleted everything, and I was like, you know, this is a waste of time for me, you know? That was the last big, you know, place I got derailed. Was that, after that. So I should never write about stuff, because it wasn't really a result. It was a nice evening.
What's the matter with that? Why'd you delete it?
But, I mean, that's...
Boots, do you? Okay, hear what Boots has to say. Boots,
Oh, I was thinking about something I saw on the web, the hub today, about going after like things that you want and not really to do it that way. To not, I can't remember what it was. It was Keely wrote it about how she had her. Oh, it was about alternative selves. I don't know if this is helping, but anyway, you know, I think you got some stuff to cure, Barb.
Well, yeah, but like, it's just kind of like overkill. Like, I've been doing this for so long, and obviously, it's like you can't just, it's like you gotta, I don't know, it's, you know, it's just, it's not working for me. Like, I'm not doing it properly, and I have to, or
Well,
whatever.
we've
Like,
been
I'm cured,
doing it
maybe I'm
just as
cured as much as
long.
I gotta be. It's just, you know, like maybe I just need to stop talking. Like, I think I talk too much, or I've written too much. So now I'm just like sitting here. I don't know what to do. Nothing's really changed. It's just a bunch of talk. Like I get real excited about certain things, and then.
does anybody notice that Barb is talking about the wrong thing? Does anybody but me notice that?
I don't know. I'd like to know what you want from me. Like,
Does anybody but me, I want you to stop talking, that's what I want. Does anybody but me notice that Barb is talking about the wrong thing?
Yes.
Boots, did you notice
I don't
that?
know, excuse me, I was on the phone for the last 5 minutes because it was my boss.
Okay. Boots, did you notice that?
Yeah.
What should she be talking about?
What she has, you know, how it has.
What she is doing. What she
Yeah, what she is doing, what she's grateful for. You know, I always go, well,
Can't live in the negative.
yeah, and imagine if you didn't do any of this work, how horrible it would be.
I know. Well, let's just.
So you're saying she should be talking about what she's got, being grateful. Okay, Greg, what do you say she'd be talking about?
Well, you know, it's interesting because I stopped listening to the content because it was just.
Well, what should she be talking
I know.
about?
So I want to change the state. She has to change, not just go down that hole all the time. And it didn't really matter what was coming out of her mouth because it was just talk. What she should be talking about? What she is doing, taking action, putting things into a positive reality.
So you're with Boots, that she should say what she's got and what she feels good about that she's done.
Yeah, for lack of what specifically, I mean, rather than talking about any of that, you got to just stop and not go down that road and just something.
Right, so that's why I'm not
good coming
posting.
out.
That's right. I guess. I don't know.
Well, you're not
It's
posting
it's
about
like
what you
when
have.
feelings.
Yeah, but I look at some of that stuff
You know
and,
what?
and then the
You know
next
what I'll
day I
say?
hate it.
what I think Barb should be talking about is I think Barb should have said right up front, you know what, you're right. I simply don't cure things enough throughout the day, and I'm not focused on getting what I want.
Okay, well, then that
I'm
would be
focused on
competitive,
complaining
because
about
you're
not having it.
Right.
And I need to commit to having people pay me, to having, I need to commit to getting money and being with people who love me and finding somebody, if I want a life partner, a real person to spend my life with who lives here and somebody who'll take care of me and so forth. And I need to work towards, I haven't been working towards that. I think that's what Barb should have been talking about.
That's a good thing to say.
I think that Barb needs to know why it's not happening. The question is, why don't I have any money? Why don't I have a girlfriend? And it's not because Barb needs to acknowledge what she's got. She probably does, some acknowledging of what she's got, and it's probably a good thing to do. But she needs to understand what she isn't doing and needs to do, and she needs to change. Barb needs to change. And that's what we all need. What did you want to say?
Oh, I'm standing here. Well, for instance, Barb, you said you were out of balance and you destroyed key relationships. Now, nobody in hell knows what that means.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I write a lot of stuff like that, and then I delete them. I lost my friends,
But you can, well,
even whatever.
nobody's.
Okay, stop.
Yeah, but even so, that's
I shouldn't be on these meetings anymore.
Don't do it.
well, that's
Okay, wait, see,
Like I've done about, I can't say I need someone to take care of me. Who wants to take care of someone who's?
we need to, okay, wait.
And
This
as far
is-
as
this is-
Victor, for example, like Victor's a successful young man. Victor's doing great.
No, he isn't. He's
In a
not.
lot of people's eyes.
No, he
He
isn't.
is, and so is Alejandro. If people are winning and moving forward
No,
in their lives,
uh-uh.
then they're good. If someone's like
Look.
at my level and they've stopped,
Okay. Boots, to go back to you, can you shed any light on this interaction that we're having? Does it hit a chord in you? Is there anything like you like sort of like go back in your life and remember some time when something?
Oh, I can totally relate to Barb. I mean, all the shows we've done together, we have a lot in common.
Right.
And I would really be bummed out if you didn't come to the meetings anymore. I think you add so much, I get a lot out of it. Yeah, I get you're frustrated. And
But you're not sure like what she needs to do. But whatever it is, you've probably already done it. See, you probably did change at various points throughout your life.
well, I can only take so much pain and not
That's a good way to put it.
has to change, and
You're right.
I have gotten the most results out of doing this work. So when I feel pain now or things aren't working, I go, okay, well here I'm going to go and do this. Maybe I don't do it, right at the time, but I let it go on a little while, and then I have to face it. I have to do it, and I just haven't had better results than this work. So I know I'm new, so
It's funny.
It seems so.
It's really funny because like sometimes I would look at Barb and I would realize that there's this key thing that I've said to her like many times and she still doesn't know it, And I would think, well, that's, there's something wrong with Barb. And then I'd look at somebody else and I'd see the same thing in Greg and the same thing in Franny or you and I go, wait a minute, like they're all like that, So
Yeah.
it's like, what? So So that was another reason why I decided that we need to tweet all day. See, we need to be tweeting all day. But the thing is, see, here's the thing. If you remember something I said a while back, Nate never tweets about anything he hasn't already cured. And when Barb keeps saying, well, I deleted this and I deleted that, maybe she was tweeting about things without curing them.
Sure.
So of course she wanted to delete them. Why? It was probably a symbolic way of curing them that didn't work, because you can't tweet something and delete it and hope it will be gone. It won't be. You actually have to take it out. Then it will be gone. If you remove something, it will be gone and it will disappear. But you can't do symbols. So when I say we should all be tweeting all day, what I mean really is that Barb was tweeting. You know, in the days when we didn't get any tweets from her, she was saying she was forwarding tweets and retweeting tweets and all these things. When the days when she was silent, that was a tweet. Barb was communicating with her silence. Do you understand that, Bootsy?
Yes.
She was saying, I'm not curing anything.
Right.
Oh, I like seeing people cure things. Oh, it's inspiring. It makes me feel good to, see what you cured. So I'll retweet that. But Barb was not curing anything. And that's a communication. The not tweeting becomes a communication in a context where people are tweeting their cures. You know, like if you look at Ross's tweets. Ross, can you hear me and understand me now? Is that...
Yes, but I keep losing some words. So if you want, I can go back on video because it's the same.
Oh, go back on video. Go back. Go back on video. Turn your turn your camera on. I like it much better with your camera on.
Okay.
It's nice to be able to look at somebody, even if it's only one of you. I'd rather see all of you, but
nobody else has the cameras on.
All of you.
Well, you could turn yours on, Barb, but some of them, like Jen doesn't have a camera, and whatever.
I don't know what it looked like.
I don't know what you look like either. I have one. There was one.
I hope you're not taping this. I bet you.
Yeah, I am taping it. There was one show. There was one show.
I lost my friends for sure.
Oh no, you're not. Don't be ridiculous. I got a pic, Barb.
Yeah, you can't lose friends that you
you
don't really have.
Barb, I got a picture of you on one of these videos, and I swear to God, it was a cubist portrait of you. It was beautiful. And I still have it, and I got to actually print that thing. It is beautiful. And it was just a total accident that it happened. But it's really a genuine cubist portrait of Barb. Anyway.
At least it wasn't the Picasso one where my one eye is this.
This sort of leads me into, remember the alternate ending that I was going to tell you with the Nate story? Well, it's pretty appropriate to tell that at this point. There's just one thing I want to do first, real fast, okay? I want everybody to close your eyes. I'm looking over at Franny. Franny, take off your glasses too and close your eyes. Okay, everybody close your eyes. And I want you to see in front of you, I want you to see a place where somebody can be seated in front of you. And it can be a Skype screen or it can just be a space. And I want you to put your ideal client for coaching. This is a person who you're coaching. I want you to put this person that you create, this imaginary person that's a composite of all the good qualities you've ever thought of being somebody who's an ideal client. This person is a hard worker and whatever. I want you to put this client in front of you. And I want you to look at her, and I want it to be a woman. Make it a woman. because there's lots of different ideal clients you can create. So I want you to make this one a woman, and I want you to check out what she looks like. First, look at her face, and look at her hair, and just make a mental note of how her hair looks and how it's done. And I want you to look at next her shoes. Look down and see what kind of shoes she's wearing. And now her hands. Look at her hands. And now, okay, and now come up and look at her dress. Okay, good. And I know we're going through this kind of fast, but I know you're also going over it and over it as you're doing it. And now I want you to have her respond to you, like with words, sound, whatever, and just say something to you, or respond to you in some way, verbally. Good. Okay. And now just be with her for a moment. More. Okay. And now open your eyes. Again, and now let her go. Thank her for being with you and let her go. And open your eyes again. And I'm going to go around and I want you to, Ross?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me first what she said to you.
I'm not hearing you.
Tell me what she said to you.
She said thank you.
Okay. And tell me a little about what she looked like. Describe her.
She was sitting on a bench in a garden. She was blonde, her hair a bit longer than mine, a bit curly at the end. She was wearing a white dress and ballet shoes, and she had a green cardigan on.
Nice. About how old?
30.
She was around 30. Okay. Barb, what about you? What did yours look like? What did yours say? Sorry, just start with that.
I couldn't really, I mean, she mostly just laughed. I think it was another foreign accent. And,
So she had a foreign accent, and she didn't say anything, but she laughed.
yeah, she was smiling, she was just pleased.
Great.
But,
What did her shoes look like?
if they were boots.
Okay. Around how old?
She looked young. I think she was about maybe 40-ish. Yes, maybe younger.
Okay, Greg, how about you?
My woman was dressed sort of in a classic business suit. Was sitting actually in an office chair. Was sort of in an office situation, and was in her 40s, and she expressed real gratitude for what she had learned and the change. We were actually kind of doing a session or talking in a way, and she said it's, was grateful and showing her the changes. Actually had moved a lot.
Okay, Boots, what about you?
Okay, mine, she said, I can't wait to tell you what happened. She was like, and then she had red hair, a dark red, auburn colored hair, kind of long. She was wearing a business suit, nicely cut. Some pumps with a peep toe, a peep toe pump. Nice legs. Late 30s.
Mm-hmm. Nell, are you there?
Yeah.
What was yours like? Tell me about yours.
She was wearing a business suit. She was in also in the mid-30s. She had dark hair, black pumps, I remember that. We didn't, I just saw her there, she was there. We didn't talk. It's okay.
So she didn't say anything.
It sounds like the same woman thinking.
I can't think so.
All right, what about
She was
Fran?
busy talking to Greg.
Right.
Well, mine was she was just sitting on a bump in the middle of nowhere, like a special seat, but it wasn't anything around. It was like brown, and she was dressed very chicly in a green evening gown, and she had black shoes also, like little pumps, you know, something like that. And she had blonde hair, long blonde hair, sort of curled at the end, like someone said. And she kept saying, "This is great. I really see what's happening. I understand a lot." So she was like but she was very composed.
All right. Nicely done. Did I do Greg?
Yeah, business suit.
Okay, now, onward. Mine, I will tell you, was in her 50s. She was a powerful person with a very intrepid face. She was a grandmother, and she didn't say anything. She just, it was sort of like Barb's, like she burst out laughing. It was like this gigantic laugh. It was this guffaw, you know, when I asked her to say something, it was like, boom, you know. So I did mine, by the way, hours ago. I did mine when I was in the wildlife area, but that's when I saw her. And she had interesting shoes on. They were very comfortable. They looked like they were made by Clark's. Okay. See, the reason I wrote the alternative ending was because of this question that came up just now when we were talking with Barb, and the question is why. The word is why. That's what we need to know. We need to know why we're like this, because that's the diagnosis, and when you have a diagnosis, then you can cure something. If you can't diagnose something, you can't cure it. If you've ever noticed, one of the things that what we have, this testing enables us to do is diagnose things. Like if you have something wrong with you and you think eating beans might help it, you could test, will this bean help my condition? So that's the key question, is why. One of the questions I always ask myself is, why haven't I tipped Immunix? And another question I started asking recently to people is, why haven't you, for example, the other day I was talking to Boots and I said to her, you know, like with John A. McDougall, who's he's a vegetarian mentor. He writes books on being a vegetarian. And he's had a big effect on her, and me too. You know, Boots recommended his books to me, and I've been watching him in movies. And I asked Boots, like, why haven't you written to him and said to him, I have the cure for the diseases that you don't have the cure for. So if I give you that, then you'll have the cure for everything. So get back to me. You know, like, why haven't you ever written to this guy? And you know what, Boots said something to me. She said it was very interesting. She said, I never thought of it. I just didn't think of it. And isn't that funny? Because it can be the simplest thing that stops cure from tipping. It can just be the simplest thing. You know? Like, Boots, what, do you have anything to add to this before I move on? About, you know, what you said the other day?
No, I don't have anything to add. I mean, I've thought about it since we talked about it.
But you still haven't done it.
I still haven't what?
You still didn't do it, right?
Not yet.
Why not?
I've been busy with Twitter. Come on.
Well, people are dying, man.
Oh, God. You know, I have to tell you, like in the Nate story, if I've said this before, there's certain salient things in this Nate story that I keep repeating, and one of them is that Nate never goes after anything in this story. It all comes to him. Like, remember one morning he woke up and he had 3,000 more Twitter followers, and he thought it was a typographical error that Twitter made. Remember this? Remember that part of the story? I was saying, like, he's like brushing his teeth, and he happens to notice, like, that yesterday he had 2,200 followers, and today he has 5,300 followers, and he goes, wait a minute. There must be something wrong with Twitter today, you know? And then it keeps growing, and a week later he's got 13,000 followers. And it was just because Kim Kardashian sent out a mention of him to her 17 million followers, and of the 17 million followers, you know, another around 11,000 decided that they had herpes and wanted to cure it, and they wanted to follow Nate on Twitter, which is not, it's not a very, see, 11,000 is a lot of people, but it's not a very big percentage of 17 million. So anyway, but that's, see, the reason, you know what you were saying just now about how you're busy with Twitter, and a good answer, because this leads me right into telling this alternate ending that I made for the Nate story, you know, which is really, this is a story that's really about all of us and what's possible, but, you know, what I'm trying to do with the Cure team is make it more likely. Something can be possible but not very probable. And anyway, but if you just go back through the Nate story, you'll see he never goes after anything. He always just makes some discovery that something's changed, you know. But as I was starting to tell you 2 weeks ago, Nate is living in this resort, and what?
That's why I moved it. I guess.
Nate is living in a resort that some woman brought him to, and he's made a deal with the owners, and they want him to stay there and just be somebody who shows people how to cure things, because it's a spa. It's where people come for their health, you know. So having somebody like him around is like, he's a real attraction, you know. He's a major value added to the place, especially because he sits there and gives people free, you know, free introductories in return for his room and board there, which is pretty opulent because it's a pretty upscale place, and he's got a nice he's got a bungalow. So he's sitting in the lobby, you know, sitting there waiting for somebody to come to sit down and, you know, find out about curing something. He's sitting there waiting, and he sees this woman check in and realizes it was Jane Fonda. And then he starts thinking about, it just pops back to this friend of his, Sam, who's another guy who works at the spa. He's made friends with everybody there. And Sam was in Nam, and he was Sam was an anti-war activist when he came back from Vietnam, and you know, he's around Jane Fonda's age, as a matter of fact, this guy. And so he's telling Nate about how Jane Fonda sat on the dams in Vietnam and she saved 5 million people. Because if they had bombed those dams, it would have destroyed the water table in Vietnam. And with the water table destroyed, they would have had typhoid, cholera, malaria, everything, you name it. That disease would have taken, what disease didn't kill, famine would have. Because they wouldn't have been able to grow anything if they had lost those dams. And she went to Vietnam. This is how she got the name Hanoi Jane. She went to, this is a true story, by the way, which I read in her autobiography. She went to Vietnam and she sat on the dam and got photographed, and when they ran that photo on the front page of the New York Times, you know, Nixon wouldn't dare bomb those dams after that. So that was the end of that. And, you know, a lot of people hated her for doing that, and she got a lot of really, you know, like, people still hate her for doing that. And then other people love her and admire her. And, you know, people who are powerful do things that polarize people one way or the other. You know, like what, Barb, what you were saying about destroying key relationships? Well, powerful people destroy key relationships. They don't try to hold on to every relationship. Because a lot of relationships need to be dumped. And that's what Jane Fonda did. She polarized people into the people who were the right ones to be her supporters and the ones who were the wrong ones. And she kept the right ones and got rid of the wrong ones. And that's the secret of her success and anybody's success. Nobody is ever successful without making bitter enemies. We all need to understand that. You know, if you ever do anything that really matters in this world, there's a whole bunch of people who aren't going to like you. And you're going to have to do things that directly step on their toes. And you're going to have to enjoy it. Like, if you really want to succeed, you're going to have to like stepping on people's toes. And alienating people and pushing them away and all that stuff. Because that's what happens when you do something that matters. You know, people just get mad at you. You know, for whatever. They all have their own reasons why, you know.
Yep.
So, that being said, the day after Jane's arrival, Nate is going into the dining hall. He goes into the dining hall and goes over to the buffet, and he's getting his stuff. And he looks off across through the buffet and he sees these two women sitting at a table off on the end. And it's Jane Fonda and her friend. And so he gets his food. And he walks over to them. And there happens to be two more chairs at their table anyway that are empty. And he's standing there with his plate, his silverware, his napkin. And he says, "May I sit down?" And Jane looks at him. She goes, "Sure, go ahead, sit down." and so they're sitting there, and the two women are sort of waiting for him to talk, because they figure, like, he came over, you know, he must have something to say. And so what he does is first he takes a bite of food. They see him do that and they take a bite. So they're sitting there chewing. And Nate says to Jane, he says, I came over because I want to ask you for something. Which Jane kind of figures, you know. So she nods her head, you know, because she kind of, you know, it isn't rocket science to figure that out. That he wants to ask for something. So she nods and goes, okay, so hit me with your best shot, you know. What is it, you know? Come on, hit me. Nate puts down his fork and he takes out his smartphone. And he punches a button on it, and lo and behold, up comes his Twitter profile, and he holds this up to where both women can see it. And his smartphone has a pretty decent sized screen, you know. So you don't have to be that close to it to be able to read what's on the screen. And he says, this is me on Twitter. And if you notice, and he taps with his finger and he says, you see, there are 110, a little more than 110,000 people following me on Twitter. And he says almost all of them, maybe 107,000 of them, are in the middle of curing a medically incurable viral-based disease. And at this point, Jane is kind of squinting at this thing, you know, and going, okay. And she doesn't really get it, you know. I mean, he can see that. It's kind of hard to see. So he puts his phone down, face down, so she can't see the screen anymore. And he says, now, he says, what I want, he said, this is how many people that I've been able to tell so far that they can cure medically incurable diseases. And what I want from you is I want you to tell the other 7 billion people on the planet. He says, you know, my friend was an anti-war activist, and 2 weeks ago, by some weird coincidence, you were not here, but he told me all about you. I didn't know much about you before, you know. But Sam, he's one of the guys over there, he's one of the massage therapists, amazing massage therapist. You know, you ought to try him. He was raving about you. He's one of your fans, and he said you saved 5 million people when you went and sat on the dams in Vietnam. And what I want you to do now, I want you to save the other 7, you know, the 7 billion people on this planet from dengue fever, HIV, cancer, you name it. These are the ones I've been able to tell. That's how much power I've had. I know you can tell the rest. If there's one thing I realized about you, Jane, and he says to her, he says, you are somebody who actually, if you if you say something like this, within a matter of months, every person on earth will know it. It's actually possible that every person on earth will know it. Especially if you get a lot of people doing it in a very public way, which I haven't been able to get people to do it in as public a way as I think you can. So, and he sits back and he says, "How about it?" Now, you know, we're getting to the end of our meeting, and there could be more to this, but maybe this is a good place to hear from you and just complete the meeting. So, anybody want to say anything?
Well, it's a wonderful idea to get a famous person like Jane Fonda involved, especially because she's also an activist and she's a very caring person. So people would listen to her. It's a very good choice.
Yeah, okay. Somebody else got anything to say?
Realized that the person that was sitting in front of me was actually more like Jane Fonda. I had it mixed up with that girlfriend person that you talked about the other night. And that, more mature, powerful people is probably what we ought to, or I ought to be looking for right now, or just being open to working with.
Okay.
I think you get what you focus on.
Yeah.
So make sure that what you focus on is something that you really want.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, Barb's taking it personally.
Well, it's a lot of work either way.
Somebody else? Bootsy, what about you?
Well, I don't think John McDougal has the power of Jane Fonda, but I can still write him a letter.
Well,
Good.
you're absolutely right. And you know what else? Like, I thought that the things that you have said about this are very useful to me. And I'm going to make use of the last thing you said now, because I thought that was really a good one for this. Okay? When you said you've been busy with Twitter, well, look at Nate, okay? Nate has been tweeting, like he's up to like 100 tweets a day, including retweets. At the time that he walks over to Jane Fonda, he has all these people following him. They're curing things. They're tweeting about it. He's retweeting their tweets. He's sending 20 or 30 of his own tweets. He's retweeting another 60, 80 tweets. He's been doing this for 11 months. You get the relevance?
Yeah.
I mean, sure, be busy with Twitter, that's good, because that's what he did. Like when he walked in, remember the other thing you said? You said, I just didn't think of it? Well, suppose Nate had been, at this point, suppose he'd learned how to, cure things, and a friend of his introduced him to somebody who became his client, took him to this resort, and he'd walked in and he'd seen Jane Fonda. Do you think he would have thought of it?
No.
Of course not. Another thing, in this story, in my plot, in this book, do you notice the role that God played? It's really easy to miss that. So if you don't, that's okay, But the role God played, well, isn't it kind of a funny coincidence that just a week or two before Jane Fonda walks into this place, that his friend Sam, they're sitting out there like hanging out, in the back lot at, 11 o'clock at night, and Sam's telling this long story about Jane Fonda and anti-war activism? Do you think maybe God arranged that? Bootsy?
Right.
Boots, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Of course. This is how all this stuff happens. You know how I got in the watch band business? God arranged it. I walked into, Stuart's place and I bought, some belt links for $56, and Stuart was just a unique kind of person. And he ended up setting me up in a watch band factory because he did not want to go into another business. So he found somebody who was already doing that kind of thing, me, and he said, okay, I want you to do what you're doing with belts with watch bands. And I'll lend you the money to start. You can pay me back. Bingo. And when I did, real fast too. I mean, within a few months, it was nothing. Because see, he knew what was going to come in. He knew how much money was going to come in and that he could get paid back. I don't know if I ever met anybody else, including my family members, who ever would have done that. But that's why God is in the plot of this Nate story. Because if Nate's friend had not talked to him about Jane Fonda, do you think that Nate would have had this thought?
No.
He's 32. He doesn't know anything about Jane Fonda. He was born after the Vietnam War ended. So, see, there's a real good reason why Cure hasn't tipped. Why has nobody on this call, including me, tipped Cure? Why didn't we just write to somebody or whatever? And the answer is, we just never got enough practice. God's been intervening the whole time, but we never got, we didn't, number one, we didn't cure enough. And I'll talk about myself. I didn't cure enough. And of course, the more I tweet, the more I've got a cure, right? So, that's why. And another thing, I don't know if you notice, everybody go to my Facebook wall. And you notice there's a picture there of a flower. It's near the top. I don't know if it's exactly at the top, but it's near the top.
Right. No Facebook.
You see it?
Going there now.
And it's got something written on
Flower,
it.
love is a consequence.
Yep. Ross, you see it? It's you. That's what you said.
Yes.
I saw what you said there, and I said, this has got to be one of the things that we put on one of these pictures.
Excuse me, I couldn't hear.
It was great. It's got to be one of the things we put on these pictures. It's emotional. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's love. Love is a consequence of cure.
Yes.
It is the bottom line.
I was explaining that to my husband.
Yes. Love, it's the bottom line that when you cure things, you have more love. When you don't, you have less love. It's that simple. The sicker we are, the less loving we are. I just thought it was absolutely the best insight. Now, do you think, you know how like Nate led with the way he led when he sat down with Jane Fonda? Suppose Ross sat down with Jane Fonda. Can you picture Ross sitting down and saying, love is a consequence of cure, the first thing that comes out of her mouth? Boots, what do you think about that? How did that look to you?
I think it would get her attention. She would like it.
Okay. Now how about if you said wake up, how about if you sat down and the first thing you said was wake up, do Immunix, train, do Immunix, eat lunch, do Immunix. Well, how would that be?
They should put the hell on a picture.
She's a workout fanatic. She would like that.
You see, what I'm seeing is that as you tweet these things, you come more into yourselves and you become more aware. And by the way, a celestial body is a terrible thing to waste. How's that one?
It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's a fantastic quip. That would definitely get somebody's attention. Got my attention.
Intended to.
Funny thing about, like, the more writing, the more you write, the better you get at it and the more you like it. Which is also what Henry Miller said about sex.
Not funny.
So with that, it looks like it's time to end our meeting. Quarter of. I think we've done a lot in this meeting, and for me it's been great, so I hope it's been as good for you as it was for me.
Yeah.
It was a
Sure.
great meeting. Thank you.
I have enjoyed myself immensely. So I'm linking my celestial body with yours.
Don't waste it.
She's gonna charge for that this week.
I'm linking my celestial body with Barb's.
I charge for that.
Yeah, you gotta pay
No, you're not.
royalties. Good.
I gotta take a nap after this.
Well, I think if you collected the short sayings of Barb,
Short things so far.
the tweets, Barb's tweets, it's like Jimmy Fallon's, bestseller. Of course, you have to get on Jimmy Fallon to promote it. You
This
could be on
was
Jimmy
fun.
Fallon, Barb.
I know. I know, yeah,
Of
Chelsea
course.
lately.
You might have to say, now Barb, turn that around. Could you cure that right now?
I'll say,
What
good,
is
I was just testing you. Wow. If Bootsy had to cancel Deepak because he tweeted so much, what about someone like Nate who did it 100 times a day? I guess all Nate's followers are people that are curing things, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Well, listen, one thing before we go, now that you brought it up, if Nate has just under 100 or just over 110,000 followers, do you think maybe another 100,000 clicked follow and then clicked unfollow later?
Yeah, probably.
Because that's what people do. They follow, and then a day later they unfollow.
Uh-huh.
Or maybe 200.
Well, yeah.
What?
Is Nate a converser or a sender? Depends.
He's a converser.
Seems like the ideal
And
Nate is
Deepak is not.
I know. Deepak is a pontificator.
Yeah, he's always got these links to,
He's cute. It seems like the perfect Nate is someone who's in the middle of curing something and they're doing it publicly. Or there's someone who's stated that their mission is to, tip cure, so they're talking about it all the time.
Or
Like they're actively doing something that everybody's watching.
well, the reason they watch is because of what it says on his masthead, and what it says on his masthead is
Is what?
Cured herpes. Last outbreak on May 11th, I was having continuous outbreaks.
So everybody following him as our herpes suffers. Okay.
No, there's a lot of people who have other things. Like these guys that we've been working with recently, like Piash, and what's his name? Hassan. They both have chronic fatigue syndrome. Piash's is caused by cytomegalovirus, which causes 15% of all mononucleosis. And the other 85% is caused by Epstein-Barr, which is what Hassan has. So that's... Anyway, this is good for today. Thank you all. It's wonderful to be with you. Thank you, Boots.
Bye.
Thanks now. This movie was given to you by HUM, the World Ministry of Immunics, which enables you to cure medically incurable diseases. We also produce the Cure Drive and the iCollege of Immunics. This is the home page. And as you see here, the movie that starts playing automatically when the page opens is a 3-hour tutorial film, which underneath it is the beginning of a series of movies. If you click on these links, you go to another movie that's a continuation of the tutorial, showing different aspects of the things that people need to get into when they cure things. The movie shows many people curing things. You'll find complete cure tutorials on the home page. Under the group at the top is another, this is a video and text tutorial, and if you click on the link, you'll see it has 10 lessons, and you can click on each lesson and you'll see that the lessons are movies interspersed with explanations. And if you continue scrolling down the home page, you'll find a huge bank of movies of people curing things. Here's one of someone curing multiple sclerosis that you can click on and these play. Hopefully this one will play in a moment. There it is. So that woman cured PPMS and MS. Here you'll find people from every continent: Europe, the US, Asia, Canada. This woman cured shingles, and in this particular movie that's what she's demonstrating. And at the top of the home page you will find links to the cure meetings that we have every week. 9 p.m. New York time, Rome time 8 p.m. Underneath the cure meetings you'll find a link to Friend Me. It's actually Bayard. I'm Bayard speaking to you on Facebook, and you'll meet many people who are my Facebook friends there who have cured various diseases. Many of us have cured herpes, which is what I cured. Also there, if you have trouble getting signals, there is a whole bank of movies that focus on people who are just starting to get their first signals. Many of these people went on to bigger and better things, and you see them in other movies. But these are movies about their signals, how they got their first signals. At the very top of the home page, you will find above the masthead a link to the cure shows. And we documented people curing things on, we did this on the phone. There are shows on about 75 diseases, and the diseases are listed alphabetically, as you can see. You actually hear the people curing these diseases during these shows. That's post-traumatic stress syndrome from 9/11, you know, the catastrophe. We have a show on that, and fever, somebody curing the fever, several people curing fibromyalgia, flu. We had a flu hotline, and there are many people. These people are actually curing flu, and the flu stops. It clears up during the 15 or 20 minutes of the call. It doesn't take long to cure the flu. Over here you have paralysis, parasitic parenting, Parkinson's disease. When you cure something, please join your voice with the voices of the many people who came before you by reporting your cure in our poll, which you can do right above the tally of the cures that people have reported is here at the top. And as you can see, there's a little link here. And if you click on that, you will come to a form that enables you to report your cure. This page is the hub of the Webb College. And as you can see, there are detailed lessons on how to remove viruses, cure cancer. Here's a movie on the right here of a doctor who actually years ago cured the flu on camera. You'll notice that skill 1 in the hierarchy of skills is cure physical diseases. That's actually the easiest thing with this particular approach. And I've put a great many things in the hierarchy of skills that relate to curing physical diseases, such as ending trauma, working on your organs. Now, if we go into the Recode Your DNA, there are 10 applications or 11 applications, and Recode Your DNA is one of them. If we go inside here, what we see is a page with a huge amount of links. And then if we look at the links on the right, after the ones on the left which prepare you, these are the actual lessons. And you can see some of them. It might be hard for some people to see why blind installation procedure is related to recoding your DNA. And this is why we've put it in this application, so that it relates it in your mind. This is the reason the Webb College is organized the way it is to relate things for you in your mind. And obviously there are a huge number of things, like if you're curing cancer or herpes or any medically incurable disease, it's obvious that there are a great many things that you have to learn. And they're different for everybody. You do not have to learn everything that's listed here. And in fact, cure is instantaneous. And it's always unexpected how it will come. Like, watch these women. They're going to give you a perspective. This is a good way to conclude this little overview I'm giving you here. Say, can I go to the 144th dimension? See if you get a signal on that. Can I go to the 144th dimension?
Can I go to the 144th dimension? Yes? I guess I can.
Go ahead and do it.
Okay,
Okay.
both of you go to the 144th dimension.
I'm taking myself to the 144th dimension.
Me too.
No stopping for gas on the 8th dimension.
I feel clear.
I feel less interested in anything below the 144th dimension.
Can we stay here all the time?
I know, exactly.
Well, I mean, this would take a lot of backstory, but there are some decisions that my family's making that I now feel clear about.
Yes, because when you have that perspective from the 144th dimension,
Yeah,
you simply don't care about anything as much.
that's exactly it. But I don't care doesn't sound so good.
Well, see, that's right.
That is it. That's really
Denial
it.
effect.
When people hear we say we don't care, they go, "Well, God, that's sick," you know.
Okay, I know. It's a good thing.